Hi there, I'm Seth Ring, and I'm subbing in for Monica Weitzel on Community Hotline. She's spending some time with her granddaughter. And today we have a couple special guests from Gresham High School, and we're going to talk a little bit about Les Mis.
Yes.
So if you guys would introduce yourselves, I'm going to let you take the wheel for a second here.
Well, I'm Caitlin Allison. I am the assistant director of the show and also the stage manager of the show.
And I'm Matt Cornett. I'm Jean Valjean in our production of Les Mis. I'm a senior at Gresham High School, and I've been in the drama department for 4 years.
So I feel a little bit nervous to be around you guys. It's like actors, you know. And then a little bit later, we're gonna have like a little miniature performance, right, with some of your talent, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell me a little bit about Les Mis. I've seen only snippets and talked about it a little bit in like film classes, but maybe you could just kind of give me a brief overview of Les Mis.
Sure. So it's based off of a novel by Victor Hugo, which was published in the 1860s, actually. And it centers around life in France around the time of the June Rebellion, which is about 20 to 30 years after the French Revolution. So, and it's really a time of turmoil and strife throughout France, and it centers on the life of a man named Jean Valjean, who is a prisoner, a criminal, who completely turns his life around and becomes a wonderful man who helps people. And the story is kind of shown through his eyes, and it follows the lives of not only himself, but a student named Marius, the student rebellion, as well as the prisoner, the cop, who's chasing him all throughout 30 years worth of the show, his adopted daughter Cosette, Eponine, the evil innkeepers, and a whole myriad of characters.
Okay. So I'm curious, what was the thrust? I mean, is this sort of like historical fiction, or like what was the thrust behind writing it?
Victor Hugo's? Or?
Yeah. So Les Mis, like, why did was this like the sort of what it was like at the time, or?
Yeah, he was alive when this happened, and he actually wrote about his experiences during this time and what he thought about was going on. But is Jean Valjean is a real person?
Yeah, Jean Valjean is a fictional character, but he was actually based off of a man who actually did that, where he completely turned his life around after being a known criminal. And Victor Hugo, him personally, he had a very, very hard life, even in the 1800s. His father abandoned him as a child, and his mother didn't treat him very well, and he actually lived with an aunt who died. And so he completely turned his whole life into this beautiful spectacle in writing Les Mis. And he wrote a few other books too, Notre Dame, The Story of Quasimodo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very celebrated author, and it's just wonderful.
So what compelled you guys to want to, so you're the AD, right?
Yes.
And so and director, and tell me what compelled you guys to want to like work with this play, like what resonated with it?
Well, a lot of how we choose our plays is we look at first the students that we have to see if, you know, we have the basics, like who can do what vocally. But what we look at secondly is the message we want to portray. And the message we want to portray now, especially with all the violence that's happening around this world and everything all this hate that's happening, and with even just in our own countries and our own schools, we wanted to put on a show that showcases how love can change things, and how if you're passionate about something, like the students are passionate about changing the world, then you can do whatever you want, and you can make anything happen with love and with passion behind it, which is why we chose this show.
It's really powerful. That was a question I was going to ask, is, you know, what does this have, how does this connect to the modern viewer, you know? And it sounds like, I mean, it's one of those things that's still relevant, what the lessons learned from the play.
Absolutely. Our drama director, Sarah Dempsey, she's been putting so much of her time and heart into this, and she's been at Gresham High School for about 30 years now. And one of the major themes in the play is new beginnings. You know, over and over with the rebellion, with Jean Valjean, and our historic auditorium, which is completed in August of 1940, is being torn down just this coming April and June. And so we decided that at a smaller level, it's a good way to say goodbye to something that served us so well for the last 30 plus years, for 70 years, and to usher in this new era. It's a great goodbye to what was.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about, what have you really enjoyed about this production?
Well, something that I personally really enjoyed is getting to see all my friends on stage and putting on both comedic numbers with the innkeeper scene, which is one of the only comedic numbers in the entire show, and seeing Matt, our Jean Valjean, and Jordan Moss, our Javert, do these heart-wrenching solos that are just beautiful and amazing to listen to. They've brought tears to my eyes in rehearsals sometimes, and that's just something that I really enjoy coming to do after school every day, is just see my friends shine on stage.
Yeah, and for me, being on stage, the music, it is so beautiful. Les Mis is a masterpiece. It's the longest running show on Broadway. It opened in the West End in 1985 and opened in America in 1987, and it hasn't closed since. And just, there's a lot of recurring themes throughout the show. So once you learn a few of the songs, you kind of know most of them. But to be able to perform this and create with other people, it is so fun, especially with the younger ones. For the seniors and juniors to be able to really work their craft and show it, and for the younger ones to inspire them, and for them to inspire us. Learning from each other throughout the process has been so much fun, and working with our parent volunteers throughout the whole thing has just been an absolute blast. And our vocal director, Janine Kirstein, and all the work that she puts in, Connie Riedel, Martin Ellis, we've just got a whole slew of adults who really help come together and make this wonderful for us.
Yeah. So tell me, what does it take to get a production like this together?
Well, what we personally do at Gresham High School is we do these things we call Saturday work parties, which is where the whole cast and some crew members who aren't in the cast come, and we build the sets, we paint the sets. We have wonderful parent volunteers of past students who make our costumes for us, Annette Durheim and Claire Reynolds. They come and they make the costumes, which are phenomenal. There's no other word besides phenomenal for them. And we do those Saturday work parties, and we have rehearsals every day to make sure we're getting our lines down and make sure the music is working and our blocking is put together. So it's a lot of hours, but they're a lot of fun hours.
Yeah. So speaking of which, talking about building up the sets, I think we're going to be queuing up a couple photos here that it sounds like you took, Matt.
Yeah.
And maybe you could just kind of walk us through what we were talking about, like what it took to put this together.
So those two hard workers right there on the left, we have Don Edwards, hard at work sawing through our wall. And on the right is Annette Durheim, one of our head costume ladies, between her and Claire. And these are two of the very important parts of the theater process. She represents a lot of our costumes, and Don, he's kind of he's our master architect and genius. Him and Mike Farley design our set and help put it together. And there's Claire, hard at work, sewing through. All of the dresses, all the costumes that we have were either made by her or Deline or Claire and other parent volunteers, including our dresses, our suits, stuff like that.
Where do you get a cool watch like that one with the pins on it?
I don't know. Maybe she made it.
That's like a one of a kind.
This is kind of a good group photo of us after one of our work parties. We're downsizing right now for the move into the new auditorium, so they were throwing away a bag of Lay's. So I snagged them from the dumpster and passed them out and said, it's a luau.
Yeah.
Work party.
That's awesome.
Oh, there's Jordan Moss, our Javert, practicing the number Javert Suicide towards the end of the show. That's another huge turning point as he debates everything he's ever worked and lived for could be wrong. There's Connie Riedel in the front and Martin Ellis in the back. Connie Riedel, she's taught in the Gresham Barlow School District for many, many years, since the 1980s. And Martin's actually toured the world doing organ and piano. He's a very, very prolific organist, and we're so grateful to have them. They're wonderful. There's Ron Wilson in the foreground there, working on our lights. Those are some fractals and whatnot that we're using in the show. Great. This is in the innkeeper scene, and you can see Madame Thenardier standing up there on the left and just having a big party. It's in their innkeeper, more of a tavern, more of a party bar. And she's currently making fun of her husband, who is laying down on the table with a colander, with a strainer.
That costume's sweet.
That's actually just our rehearsal.
Oh, it's just a rehearsal. Okay.
Yeah.
Just your regular.
There's Mike Farley there. He's currently our master carpenter for the show, working with Jordan Moss. You can see a group of students bringing parts in. That's actually in the old Gresham Woods shop. And we were actually given that to use as our carpenter hall for putting on building the productions after the wood program ended. And there's Sarah Dempsey right in the middle, and a good group of our guys, most of them from construction crew. That mural was actually painted by a past student that's backstage. It says, "We love this place." It's one of our mottos. And this is after just a really wonderful work party that we had clearing out some flats from back there. Look at those smiling faces. There's Janine Kirstein right there, one of our vocal coaches. She's kind of the head choral director of the show. This was during a rehearsal in the choir room, just singing through the music, working on it. You can see Chloe.
Yeah.
Here's another angle of what's going on. Connie on the piano, Miss Kay directing. We've got some of the other students. A lot of this was taken during the students' part in the show, the Student Rebellion. This is some songs from that. Here's some of our paint crew hard at work. A lot of them are freshmen and sophomores, and they're already contributing a lot to the process. You can see they're painting a window frame before it gets detailed and put up on the walls that we have for our set. Those are the walls. They're very, very heavy. They take about 15 guys to carry in from the wood shop. Got to go all around to the back barn doors of the auditorium. They're actually plastered for texture. Chloe Hallberg and Tess Wicks did a lot of the designing for that, along with Sarah Dempsey. And right now they're actually being painted currently tonight. There are students actually at work doing that. There's just a good scene from the innkeeper's scene, you know, raising a glass to the master of the house.
And you guys are drinking root beer in those pictures, correct?
Yes.
All right,
Just
good.
good old dihydrogen monoxide.
Okay.
And that's just a good angle of the whole stage area. You can see it's a really grand theater, like from the 1940s. Really nothing like it left in the area, completely unique. And you can see the pianists there, and we've got the huge set going on, and it's really gonna be kind of a minimalist set.
We're doing some cool down lighting for the show, which we don't usually do.
The lighting is going to be wonderful. There's Andrew Diedrich, the male innkeeper at Thenardier, laying down a good dance.
Yeah.
You know, getting the patrons ready for a night of fun.
Yeah.
There's Chloe Hallberg again. You can see the detail actually on the bricks that they're doing in the joint compound, the plaster that they're putting on there.
So are the cast also involved in the creation of the set?
Definitely.
Yes.
That's great.
If you're in the cast, you're kind of required to be part of the
That's heart and soul
work
right
parties.
there. That's great.
Oh yeah, we give it everything we've got.
Sweet. Well, I think that we're actually going to be doing a little snippet of a performance here in a second. Can you kind of like let me know what the performance is about, and while our singers get ready?
Sure. So Troy Chittock, who is portraying Marius, Chloe Hallberg, who is portraying Eponine, and Tess Wicks, who is portraying Cosette, they're actually district champions right now for a vocal solo comp for the 6 local districts. They won first place in their categories, and they're going to be performing A Heart Full of Love.
Okay. And so to correct, just to verify though, you told me that it's not like all of them as a group did it, like each individual person won in their own category, right?
Yeah, we actually placed 4 of the 5 vocal categories took first place from Gresham High School this past solo comp. So we swept.
Dude, that is so
And
awesome.
also, all 4 of them are the leads. And they're some of the leads in Les Mis.
That is excellent. All right, well, we're gonna let them take it away.
Great.
A heart full of you, a single look and then I knew
it too. These are words he'll never say, not to me.
from today.
Not to me, not for
Every
me.
day.
His heart
It isn't a dream, not a dream. After all.
So I'm actually going to have them introduce themselves and maybe just kind of talk a little bit about which characters they're playing and sort of their motivations. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys, and maybe you could tell us your name and tell us about your character.
Hi, I am Chloe Hallberg. I'm a junior at Gresham High School, and I play Eponine in the musical Les Mis. Eponine is just a really strong and brave character. I really look up to her. She's the daughter of the Thénardiers from the innkeeper scene, as you guys saw. And they're kind of greedy people. Because there's so much poverty at the time, they have to steal, and they don't really have good morals. But Eponine, I think she has really great morals, and I think that's why she's in love with Marius. Throughout the whole show, she's just expressing her love for him because she has good morals and she just looks up to him so much. And because she comes from such a low-class family, I think he just doesn't really see that in her. And throughout the whole play, it's just her struggling with that and accepting that she loves him so much and he'll never love her back. And that's kind of what her character's all about.
And I am Troy Chiddock. I portray Marius in Les Miserables. Eponine and Cosette both fall in love with Marius, and it creates this conflict, and it's quite an emotional one. Marius believes in equality, and equal pay, and everyone should have just fairness in society, and that's not what's happening in this time of poverty. So that's what Marius and the other students are fighting for in this rebellion, as they build this barricade. That they are fighting so that everyone can be free and that everyone can have an equal world.
And hi, I'm Tess Wicks, and I portray Cosette. And basically, I am the daughter of Fantine, one of our leads, and my mother dies. And Jean Valjean takes me in as his daughter and raises me to be a beautiful, happy, loving girl. And I fall in love with Marius. And so basically, my part in the show is falling in love with Marius and showing him that there is love at the end of the day, and even if something bad happens, you can rely on love.
That is fabulous. Thank you all so much for coming in and doing that performance for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
That was just like a little snippet, right? How long is the actual play?
Roughly, we're doing the school edition, so ours is roughly a little bit over 2 hours with an intermission.
Yes.
Whereas the Broadway show, the full script, is about 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes, depending on the cuts made. Yeah.
Still, that's a long time. That's a long haul, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, it's about a student rebellion. Does that resonate with you guys at all, like given current times and whatnot?
I think it's, like I was saying earlier about the students banding together or something they're passionate about can lead to big change. I think it's a good lesson to show younger audiences, especially like our peers, that we can make a difference no matter how young we are.
Yeah. It's really interesting because we can see the youth of that time rising up, because these were real events. They saw the injustice in society and decided to take action. That's the first step to doing anything good, is taking action. And we see a lot of our youth today doing that throughout the country right now especially, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that really resonates with me. And so like I work with a lot of youth, and I think some people write youth off as punk teenagers, but it's like there's so much. I think it's one of those things, like I love working with teenagers and youth because there's so much creativity and there's so much to be said, and I think it's just about like listening, and you may not like everything you hear, but I'm sure you don't like everything I say either.
And to find common ground, it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and I really like the theme with Les Mis, that it's applicable even today. It's not just something that happened in France a long time ago. It's something that could be is happening today, right? Depending on which country you're in or what time period you're in, right? So tell me, we need to have the deets now. Tell us about when it's showing and where people can go see it.
We are opening on March 9th, which is next Friday, and we will be going through March 9th and 10th at 7 p.m. And then we will also be showing the next weekend, March 15th, 16th, and 17th, also at 7 p.m. And we're doing a matinee showing on March 18th at 2 p.m.
Okay. How much will it cost?
Tickets will be $14 for adults and $12 for seniors or students of Gresham High School. And we are showing it at Gresham High School in our auditorium.
Okay. So basically for the price of like 3 cups of coffee, I can go watch like a really high quality play.
Definitely. And we have popcorn too.
And I'll be supporting my community.
Yes.
That sounds pretty reasonable, like a reasonable proposition. So I'm also curious about, tell me about your sort of, what are you pursuing? Are you guys both seniors?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you're pretty old,
Yeah.
like grandpa and grandma. So tell me about what you're pursuing after this.
I want to do this. I actually want to try and like double major in theater tech and in theater performance. I really found my niche in theater after devoting so much time to it, and I've been pretty successful so far. And I actually did a wonderful program last summer working with youth in the juvenile court system, teaching them theater and putting on a performance with them at Clackamas Community College, and it was wonderful. And I realized theater truly does change lives. You know, you tell a story, and people don't clap because it sounds good or looks good or it's cool. It's because you touched them just a little bit. You changed their life, even if it's just for a second, and that's what I want to do. I want to help touch people and change their lives just a little bit, even if it's a laugh, make them feel good for a little bit, or to really make them think about who they are, what they're doing.
You have a wonderful head start. I wish I had known that stuff when I was your age. How about you, Caitlin?
I'm just pursuing, I'm not actually doing anything with theater outside of high school. I find it really fun, and I've made a lot of friends throughout high school, but I've always had a passion for biology and sciences. I find science fascinating, and it's just learning how the natural world works is really cool to me.
Yeah.
And I want to do that, and I want to help preserve our planet when I grow up and make sure we're keeping things for future generations to have.
All right, I feel like we're kindred spirits. So I got my undergraduate degree in biology, and I moved on into media afterwards. So I will tell you both that they can both overlap too. You know, it's you can keep doing what you're doing in theater, and you can keep doing what you're doing in science, and actually the theater will help you.
Okay.
You know, that would be my advice, because people, sometimes science can be prickly, and they need something. They need a spoonful of sugar, right?
Yes.
We have about 2 minutes left here. Is there anything that you would like to tell people at home, you know, why they should go and see this play, or why they should support Gresham High School Theater?
Sure. Come see the show. It's going to be a blast. 200 million people have seen it on Broadway. It's just a phenomenal opportunity to spend time with your family, even invite your family, and just come watch this timeless classic. It's got beautiful music, and it really does make you think about who you are and what your place is in the world and what you can do.
It's also the last show in this auditorium, and it's going to be the last chance you have to see anything Gresham High School can put on in that auditorium for a few years now. It's going to be great.
All right. So everybody watching on Facebook Live or on our live channels, or for the next run of this show, listen to what they're saying. This is the last chance. So I would definitely recommend you go and watch this. And we'll be back after these short series of PSAs. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. The Outlook, serving the residents of East Multnomah County for more than 100 years. The region's #1 source for information, The Outlook provides readers with intensely local coverage of the issues and people that impact our lives and community. The Mountain Hood Cable Regulatory Commission, advocating on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels. And by Stamp Connection. MetroEast values the support of our partners in the community, and we'd like to give a very special thanks to the sponsors who help make our programming possible.
Hi, I'm Alonzo,
Hi, I'm Kimberly.
and we're with the Black Parent Initiative.
Every week, Community Hotline makes sure nonprofits like ours gets the word out.
Tune in every Wednesday at 7 to find out what's going on in your community.
Coming here to shoot my documentary was more than I ever would have dreamed of doing.
This is a community media station.
It was phenomenal.
Ready, camera one.
What is it about this place that makes so many different people come together?
Ready, camera two.
Very professional, experienced people.
You can use these industry standard pieces of equipment.
Ready, camera three. Take three.
You don't have to be rich to do this.
Open people's eyes to something they've never even thought of before.
Cool stuff happens. It becomes this community.
That's going to really change who's telling the stories and who's controlling the messaging.